Okay, we are back for our last simultaneous contrast exercise. Okay, and this is a tricky one, but I think it can be very fun. Like especially once you get the hang of how all these contrasts work, and you're really thinking about the law of addition and the law of subtraction, and you kind of really are starting to get a handle on that. What I don't know, to start out with, right, you want enough of a difference here, right? So you're picking two strip colors now, and your job is to actually figure out what field colors will I choose to actually try to make these two different colors look like they're the same color, which is like crazy, but it can work, and it can work really nicely. And you probably have a lot of choices here, some of which I haven't even probably tried, but a couple that can work, pretty easily. Well, I don't know, it's super easily. You can, first of all, I'm going to click on one of these, right? We're going to we'll look at the color picker for a second. So I'm going to double click on my fill over here. Okay, so the color picker here, one thing that you can think about is going to kind of close places, adjacent places, thinking analogous hues, right? And maybe we want to, choose one of our hues as more sort of more reddish, more red violet, and maybe the other one like a more blue violet, right? Rather than choosing like a red and a green, right? Or red and a green. So that way, there's not you can push them in one direction or the other, maybe a little more easily, I think. So let's actually try that. Let's try going, and the other thing, okay, so let's try going for one of these. We'll make the hue, what, like kind of a red violet. Let's go a little more. The other thing that you're going to want to do is vary the value, right? So one of these you're going to choose to be probably a little bit lighter and the other maybe a little bit darker. And that can be an interesting thing to explore, okay? So let's go. I'm going to probably choose chromas that aren't super high either. So I think let's try this. I'm going to go for this one and maybe I don't know, maybe put it up here. I'm gonna go a little redder here. That okay. So let's select that, and I'm gonna again get rid of the stroke by clicking on it, bringing it forward, and then selecting none for the stroke. All right, now for this other one, then I'm going to get rid of the stroke, and then I'm going to double click on that fill, and I might be fine where I am. I might go all the way, sort of further into blue. It's still kind of a cool, it's still kind of a purpley blue, and I'm going to go kind of darker, right? And I still may stay fairly low in chroma, or lower, kind of lower in chroma, but I want to try to go a little bit darker. That's a pretty big difference. I don't know if I can pull it off, but I will try, right? I might even make this one a little bit more red. I don't know, maybe a little bit. And maybe a little higher in chroma. Let's try that. Okay. All right. I mean, that's not much different, but they are very different in value. So I'm going to go ahead and plug one of those in here with my eyedropper. I select that, and then I just click my eyedropper on that fill. Don't forget to go back to select tool, right? So you don't keep eyedroppering in other things. You're going to click on this rectangle, go to your eyedropper in that, and then go back to select, okay? All right, a couple of things then. You want to think, if we go back down to here, you want to think about what do you need to do, if we can actually go ahead here and put these apart, right? And I can actually make a third rectangle. I'll go ahead and do that just because this I think may help you understand. I'm gonna empty it out here real quick. Okay, so sorry, except I'll put the black outline back on it. There we go. Okay, so right? So here you are kind of trying to change this. You're trying to make this one, you're trying to push, choose a field color that pushes this color, right, a little bit further towards the other strip color, okay? So you're kind of almost trying to find a midpoint between these two. So here, right, and I have to make this one seem a little darker, not as dark as this one, but in the middle, right, sort of halfway between. It makes it seem a little darker, and I also have to make it seem bluer, right? Okay. This one, I have to make it seem lighter and seem redder, right? Okay, so you kind of are going to end up with something, my guess is, that you'll end up making this color, these two colors look like a third color, right? It's not going to be like one looks like the other. They're both going to appear to change some. And probably that means that change, maybe in here, and, maybe a little bit further. Maybe not that much, sorry. It's gonna get lighter. Maybe a little bit lighter, see, because those purples are still very dark, right? So maybe it's gonna be kind of in this range. Oh God, sorry about that. Of course, now I wasn't clicking on it even. Oh, sorry. Okay, so that's okay. We get it back, right? So it's going to be probably in this range, maybe kind of dull. Is that right? Yeah, somewhere like this, right? In that this, maybe this goes a little tiny bit lighter. It's maybe not quite the midpoint. But okay, so that, right, if we look at this, then, right, that's kind of right in the middle of these two, so this is, maybe this can go a little bit lighter still. There we go. Something like that, right? That kind of happy medium. So this is sort of our goal, is to make this color kind of look like this one, and then this color change, put something behind it that makes it look more like this. So we're not trying to push one all the way, to the other side. We're just trying to change them to kind of push them further towards this midpoint. Okay. All right, so for this, I'm going to kind of leave this one down here, right? And just say that's kind of our goal right here. Now, in order to now we got to think about our laws here, right? In order to, if we think we want to remove, right, red from this, there's a little bit of blue in this, right? And so by removing the red out of this, that should make this look blue. So if we think we might be able to choose one of our field colors to be a red, right, that will suck itself out of here, making this look much bluer. So let's try that. If we want to make this look darker, right, whatever we choose for the back here has to be lighter than this, okay? So if that makes sense, okay? I hope that makes sense. All right, so we got to get rid of the black outline. We double click on this fill. We know we need to go to red, right? And we, maybe we go up to about here, and we have to go lighter, right? Because we want to make that, that sort of red violet look darker. So whatever we have to put back there's got to be lighter than it. Oh, it's not that much lighter, right? So let's even go a little bit lighter. Let's choose that. And that definitely does make that look a little bit bluer. My sense is we can also push this red a little bit more towards orange. The reason being, through the law of addition, if that red becomes a little orangey, it's going to drop a little bit more of a veil of blue right over there, because again, blue is its complement. So we can go back here. We can just push that a little. I mean, that might be enough, pushing it a little bit more towards orange, you know, maybe coming up here a little bit, right? And that does make it look a little bit more blue. So we'll see how this works, right? It's hard to tell because we haven't changed this one at all. Here we go. We want to bring the stroke forward and make it nothing. And then, sorry, bring the fill forward, double click on it. Okay, so now we know in order to make this sort of blue violet, or no, this kind of, yeah, this sort of blue violet rectangle, this strip color look lighter, whatever we put behind it has to be darker than it. Okay, so that means we got to go pretty dark, and it has to be bluer than this because we want to suck all the blue out of this. Okay, revealing red. Okay, so we have to go, this was sort of in this ballpark, right? So we got to go this way, right? And we got to go darker than it, and that's already pretty dark. Okay, so let's try this. I don't know. That is maybe a little too dark. Okay, so let's go up this way a bit. Okay, and that might, you know, that's starting to look a little bit more like it might be the same value, right? So this value might be pretty good. It still looks a little bit blue, frankly. But you know, so if we look at our color picker here, let's remember, select this, go back to our color picker. So if we want, right, if we go a little bit further towards green, that will also, right, that influence of green will, through the law of addition, is going to drop a veil of red over this, right? So adding more red to it. So that can't be a bad thing, right? I think to go a little greener. If we're a little bit lighter in value, that might be fine. So let's try that, right? And I think that that is starting to even be better, right? We might even be able to go here a little bit further towards orange. Here, let's try this. And I wonder if we can't go, oh, this might be the way to go because that intensifies that. We can make this a little bit darker, I think. This is really looking pretty good. This still looks a little redder than this one does, so we want to try to amp up that redness a little bit. Let's try taking this a little bit further towards green, okay? And let's see what happens with that, right? And that's not bad. I still think now this looks a little darker. Let's see if we can get, maybe let's see how far towards orange we've got to go, right? Let's go this way, and this is going up here. That's going up. We can intensify that, right? It didn't change it a whole lot, but that's looking better. I think this needs to go darker, okay? And maybe what happens if we make that lower in chroma? I don't know, right? But we can try that and see. And that's not bad. I still think that maybe looks a little bit, still a little bit too blue. Let's try again, going even closer to green, right? Because again, that'll intensify the red that we add to that. Let's try, and let's see if we go upwards. Ah, right. Okay, so that's starting to be better. Let's again try to maybe go up here and a little darker. So let's see if we intensify the chroma of it a little bit darker. Now I think these two are looking, here, let's get these are somehow influencing me here. I think that looks pretty good. I think we can still get this one. Let's go a little bit lighter, right? And then also a little bit, let's see if we go a little bit further towards orange, right? Let's go up here, right, with that. It doesn't change it a whole lot, but let's keep going with that. Right. Let's see. I mean, I think that's not bad, right? I think This one might have looked better before when it was bluer, I think, maybe. Let's see. Oh, that's better, right? Let's go a little bit further back that way. Sorry, let's see. Can't hurt, right? Right, and I think actually that looks better. What's the deal here if we go back towards that red? I think this might be our best one so far, right? In terms of making these look pretty even. I might go a tiny bit darker with this, in which case maybe just that. And I'd say that is really quite good, okay? You know, both, I mean, that's sort of, you know, I don't know, that's looking a little bit more like that. You know, if we look at it from this point, and that looks, you know, again, kind of more like that, right? I think, let's see if we make this a little bit lighter, what happens there. And that's pretty good. What if we do a little darker here? Sorry. You know, I keep tweaking this a little bit. Right, and that still looks quite good. You know, so this may be a little bit better even. Let's keep going back. Sorry, that gets darker too. Oof. Oh, that looks good. I like that. I think I like that the best, right? And so, okay, so that actually tends to, let's see where we are for that, right? We're not quite as far away, right? We sort of, I think going towards green, you know, doesn't seem, I mean, we can even go further that way, right? I suppose. Let's see what happens there, except we have to go down. I just want to see. Right, that starts to make it look maybe too purpley, right? And it might be because it's adding more of a red violet to it, right? So it's starting to add more purple to it than just this one. And this is, you know, the blue is adding, or that, yeah, the blue is taking more of itself away from it, right? And also dulling it down a little bit, which is helpful, right? Because that then starts to match this a little bit better. So I think just not going too far away from, you know, it started out right about here, and it certainly is a more blue-green, but it works pretty well this way. I just want to make sure that for our other one, ooh, sorry here, for our other one that we aren't going too far towards orange. You know, if we go up here, it's the, I mean, that works too. So, you know, I think that you have a little bit of flexibility here, that this works pretty well as it is, in that both of these kind of becoming more similar looking, right? I think. I'm just trying to see sort of how those compare. This maybe we even get a little bit lighter here. That's probably even a little bit better, right? Just in terms of trying to get that, you know, contrast, right? And make them look a little more similar. So you have, you can see that you have a little bit of flexibility there, in where you can choose, you know, in the range of hues that you can choose. But you have basically a strategy of, if you go redder here, right? If you put red behind here, the red's sucking itself out of here, right? If you go blue here, the blue is sucking itself out of there, right? We might even be able to change this if we go even closer. I don't know. Right, but not. Right, that works too, right? I think. So that makes that also look, you know, that's a little bit closer to, you know, where it was before. So sometimes you don't have to go that far away in order to make that seem to match pretty well, right? So that's even a little bit of a cooler red. Let's see, I wonder, let's see if that works. I mean, that works nicely too, I think. That definitely brings out the blue there. Maybe we don't have to go quite so dark. You know, and that I guess looks pretty good too. So you have some options here, right? In terms of making this look more similar. I still do maybe want to go, I think this was better before, right? That was a little bit better, I think, in terms of it being more matched. And I think if this one gets a little bit lighter, that's also a better match for it too. Okay. All right. My hope is that this helps and that you can sort of see, at the very least, right, if we get rid of this, I don't think that you would, you know, I don't think that you would think that, you know, this is this, you know, I don't think that you would think that was this one and this was that one. I don't think, right? If we saw these and if we take them down here and away, I think those look pretty good. Okay, I hope that helps to see that. You know, anyway, but that is kind of the basic idea for this one. They are, you know, really here. I still think we can go up and maybe we have, yeah. Maybe that's the better one, right? So those look more matched now, okay? Okay. All right, so my hope is that helps. This is a little bit of a tricky one, but you kind of, if you figure out where you're headed to the middle and like that you want to remove, you know, red from this one and you want to remove the blue from this one so they kind of meet in that midpoint, that's what's helpful. And how, you know, if you want this to seem darker, you have to have something lighter than it behind it. If you want this one to seem lighter, whatever is behind it has to be darker than it. Okay, so those are the basic principles of that contrast. Okay, I hope that is helpful, and good luck.